manhwa. It is the Korean equivalent of manga. It has a lot of great differences between them. I think the best thing to note when it comes to the differences between manga and manhwa is that manhwa tend to have a way better artistic style. It's not a great story and really dumb art. There's many manga that just have the most ridiculous art. I love Jujutsu Kaisen, but the art is so hard to follow on the manga.
It's the biggest piece of dog.
I just wait for the anime to come out. But I think a big thing to note is that there was a lot of inspiration, I think, with manhwa that they took from manga. And I think the biggest thing many of the artists took was power fantasy. I'm Mr. Panda. This is Panda Rant, where I just kind of go unscripted on an opinion piece. And so we're talking about power fantasy inside of manhwa, obviously. So let's just get down to the brass tacks of it. There are a lot of examples of really good manhwa that just are complete power fantasy trash. Like, I love power fantasy trash. If you love some power fantasy trash, we homies.
This is my favorite one so far. Nice job, team.
But in actuality, so I think the greatest example of power fantasy inside of manhwa is one that's actually getting an anime, and that's Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling had finished over a year ago now. It has been quite a while since the actual manhwa has finished, but it was the perfect example of power fantasy where someone completely powerless just gets the most amount of power possible.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
And, you know, surprisingly enough, with all the manhwa that just continuously come out, the variety, I would say, of power fantasy that Solo Leveling has is actually different from all the other power fantasy that has been coming out, mostly because this is not a regression story. It's not a isekai story. It is just a powerless guy getting powers that just make him ridiculously strong right away. And I wouldn't say through hard work necessarily, considering he just kind of beats the shit out of everybody. He just kind of wins every time. He just kind of wins every time. It's power fantasy. It's kind of a staple of people who want escapism, where they can be an ultimate character, where they can just win. In this story, that's kind of where you're at. Now, there are other really popular manhwa out there that more kind of stick to two different specific genres of power fantasy. You have regressors and you have isekaiers. So basically, you have people who regress back into their younger bodies or get isekai'd into another story. And I think a great example of that, for manhwa at least, is the beginning after the end, where this man's not gets isekai'd once, get isekai'd twice.
Stop it. Get some help.
When he dies, he gets isekai'd from the regular world into a world where he eventually becomes king, and then gets isekai'd again into a world of magic. So it's power fantasy through and through. He just is obnoxiously, like, powerful, and on top of that, he he is an adult mind inside of a body of a child, because he got isekai'd once, so he grew up to be an old man before he died in the first isekai'd world, and then he had the mind of like a 40-50-year-old man inside the body of a child. So, you know, they had that weird dynamic, which was very jobless reincarnation of them. There are so many others. I mean, there's countless ones. I read quite a few of them. There was the Great Mage Returns After 4,000 Years, which has over 182 chapters and is still going. That one is a great powerful wizard, ends up being not even regressed, but I guess reincarnated. That's another big one, I guess. Reincarnation. There's three then: reincarnation, regression, and isekai.
Oh my.
There's tons of them. The survival of a sword king in a fantasy world. Again, isekai'd, and power fantasy to an umpteenth degree.
Stop it.
Where he has a power that no other worlder could possibly have. I mean, there's tons of them. I think there's quite a few other ones. Reincarnation of the Suicidal Battle God, which is one of my personal favorites right now. That is a power fantasy through and through, but I think it's a little bit more of a twist take on the sort of regression story, considering, like, there's a real reason why he is better than other people inside the world. It was more about his battle IQ than it really was about him just, like, having this power to beat anything and everything. It was more about the fact that he was just smart enough to understand how to beat things even when he was weak, which I think was a way better progression for his character than I just reincarnated and regressed and now I know all the secret techniques. Like, that's really how a lot of these stories go. I find it so silly. I think a really good regression story that is power fantasy where it's like, oh, I just have all the abilities, is The Heavenly Demon Can't Live a Normal Life, which is a story that is basically completely based around a martial arts master dying and then getting isekai'd into another body from a fantasy world, and then he uses his martial arts master talents to become overly powerful inside of a world full of magic. I mean, there's countless ones. I read so many manhwa. I stopped reading manga basically to read exclusively manhwa because I like the art so much better, and being an artist myself, I just was like, oh yeah, no, obviously the ones with good art. Not saying that there aren't any manga without good art. I mean, there was the, I guess, isekai, you can count it, isekai story that the creator of One Punch Man recently made, and that was a very good twist on it, because if you haven't read it yet, you absolutely should. Let me look it up. I believe the title of it is Verses. I believe that's what it is. And that one's really interesting. This isn't much spoilers at all. This is within the first like chapter of the manga. But basically the world's about to come to the end inside this fantasy world. So they do this whole isekai. Oh, we're gonna teleport another world's heroes to us so that we can either escape or be saved from all these demon lords. And then they end up accidentally merging the two worlds instead. And it's a sci-fi world where the humans are about to die due to advanced AI. So it's just this sort of conglomerate of these people trying to survive together because one side can kind of beat the AI due to their magic abilities, and the sci-fi guys can beat the demons due to the fact that the demons don't have power against this super sci-fi futuristic technology, which I find really cool because that is such a good take on isekai. It's so different. It's not like, oh, I have the status window for a hero and I'm gonna beat the hero. I'm gonna beat everybody. My destiny is to beat the Demon King, even though I'm just a high school student. Which, no knock on that. I read a lot of those. I read a lot of them. I mean, a great example of that was Shield Hero, which was another great take on isekai, which was, being blamed for, no consent boom boom, and then just becoming the hero that everybody needed, even though he did it for his own reasons, which was basically revenge and pettiness, but also for survival, which I thought is amazing. Sadly, that second season was not good. The second season of Shield Hero was super lackluster compared to the first, but I still have hope. I still have hope for the next season. I still have hope that Shield Hero will come back with a way better story next time. I think that Shield Hero is a story worth watching, so I'm patiently waiting for that. But really, this video has no topic. It's not well structured. I hope you enjoyed it. It really was just me ranting about the fact that I really like manhwa and the fact that most manhwa that I read is power fantasy trash. If you can commiserate that with me, watch another one of my videos. I have reviews. I'm working on a different kind of content going forward, but these sort of panda rants will still go forward. It's going to be the reminiscent of the content that I'm currently making right now, just so you guys can have more content out there and just so I can always give you guys something. I want to try to upload as much as possible, but I want there to be a certain quality to my work from now on. So I am going to be making other kinds of videos, but this stuff, the panda rants, are going to stay. I like just talking off the hip, even though I am very sporadic with how I talk. I just love making content, and I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys watching. So if you want to watch another video, here we go, right over there, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.